I can tell you, there are many who've gotten pictures with celebrities, successful people. A picture will not make you successful.
True, it won't.
It won't. But application of
Yes,
what
it is the time for Hustle Hard, and today we are with the one, the only.
Holla holla. It's your boy, George Billionaire, with none other, the one and only, Noma Nice.
Yeah.
Noma Nice. This is the day that the Lord has made, and we shall surely be glad and rejoice in it as we are here on this show to be provoked. We are definitely going to provoke you, inspire you, and most importantly, equip you. It's always good to be equipped with something that you didn't know before.
True.
But as always, we say that this is one of the most listened to shows in the country, speaking to people of all ages. But it's one thing, Kungonzwa, just to hear. We need to become a people of action. We need to become doers. Because one thing about Africans, Noma Nice, we like to learn, and we don't stop learning. And now we have tons of awards, degrees, all this recognition in the public sector, but they are not being put into the ground because a seed, an idea, something you learn should be put into practice. So we've heard so many times knowledge is power, but that is the biggest lie ever told. Application of knowledge equals to power, because all we learn, if we don't apply it, this is why so many people are seated at home, because they have the knowledge, but they think they can only apply it in one place. And unfortunately, there's never going to be enough jobs for everybody. Sometimes it's going to take somebody to think outside the box and start something, or even those who are at work to also think outside the box and start a side hustle. So let's apply these things that we are constantly hearing here from the many experiences that I've had with many mentors and many books and many insights I've learned on my journey of life, so that we can be a people who are transformed by the renewing of their mind. That is what my core purpose on this show is, Noma, so that people don't think the way they usually think. They hear something different from somebody who I've heard is, George, you're always super positive. You're always trying to push us, and that is the true intent. Because I know inside you, there is a champion, there is a winner, there is an entrepreneur. As much as you say there's no entrepreneurship for everyone, who will work for the other. I know that in somebody there is. As much as you are working, you can be farming. As much as you are working, you can have a side hustle. My message to people is to push people to get outside what we call the comfort zone. Because the last time I checked, nothing grows in the comfort zone. You stunt your own growth, and you will never grow and become what God purposed you to be. The country is not going to come and help you. The country has already put a conducive environment for people to do business. So we should take advantage of that and also just expand our horizons. Not rely on one stream, which is my major push message to people, because very soon that call is going to come. And Noma, they are going to thank you for your many years of working for us, and you're going to say bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
And then what are you going to do after that? So it's important, people out there, the pulsars, let us think outside the box. Let us do what others are not doing, so that we can have what others do not have. But if we keep murmuring and complaining like the Egyptians, we will take long to arrive where we see others arriving. And you will never have touch or taste what those who did not make excuses in your time will have. But it is a time that we must. And I urge people, we must really take action and to do something with our lives, because we are only living once. Only once. There's no second chance in life. There's no I wish I had done this when you grow old, because I wish did not take care of your bills.
True.
But doing now, failing and learning now is what's important. Because when you are of age, you will not be like the people at the old people's home saying, I wish Noma Nice and George on Hustle Hard, they used to tell us Start. And for sure now, I was retrenched at that age and I never recovered from that. So this is an aha moment for somebody who's listening. We need to understand we are the captain of our own lives.
Sure.
Nobody's coming to rescue us. You may have wishes of another political party, another leader, another country. Maybe you think it's greener pastures in another country. But I tell you, nothing changes until you decide to change. You may think going to another country will help you. But in that same country, you're going to find flaws in that country.
Yeah.
You're going to find at least Kumba, I could call Noma and go and have lunch at her house. But now, I don't even have the time. I don't even have anybody I talk to. So each country has its own. But there's nothing better, especially for those who are in Zimbabwe, to make use of the opportunities that are before us, to really begin to think what solution can I provide to the many problems we have, just like in any other country. But at home, you always know that, people think that Zimbabwe is not liquid. Zimbabwe is actually very liquid for business. But you need to obviously know how to get yourself around. But the most important thing that I want to urge people to do before we get into the session of today is this. The greatest secret to getting ahead is to actually get started. That thing that you have wanted to do, that you have procrastinated over the many years, you must at least start. Start the little on a little, and soon it will become much. But if you keep procrastinating, I can guarantee you're not going to get much done.
All right.
FM, Harare's Heartbeat. For yours truly, Becky Kenny.
All right, so you can take part in our conversation on 0719 100 404 on our WhatsApp number, or you can also call through on 0772 269 229. So when you speak about side hustles and entrepreneurship, you make it sound, the name sounds so cool. It sounds like it's easy to do it, right? But we live in this country where sometimes I can start a business because in that season, it's what's working out. Everybody was doing that, and that there came also a time Yema masked for COVID, and everybody was doing all of that. When you're crossing over, just spray, and I think that was a lot of money that people put into the business.
Yeah.
It's all over. And now you don't know what else to do. You're too late. You've invested a lot of money in it, and because you're thinking, okay, this is a side hustle that would make sense. But then now I've put in so much money, I've now quit. How do I then get up again and start again?
The response to that is an amazing question, and many have asked it. But I've always given this example, which many people will be able to relate with. And I think that's the greatest challenge with Africans. We like to photocopy a business that we think is working well, and we jump on it, and we think it's going to be successful. But you do not know what that other person did for them to get to the place that they're at.
Sure.
That has made them resilient and consistent in that specific business, which is why they flourished. Like you're saying, many businesses are out there, and we like to copy. But one thing that you want to be remembered for when your name is mentioned is what you should focus on. And because we are jack of all trades, right? We are trying to do whatever, Chamuga, let me do this, let me do this. You're not going to be specifically known for something. You should be a person when somebody says, it's unbearably hot, I need some air conditioning. Who do I call? Oh, hi, I've got a wedding and I want it to be 5-star. Who is a good wedding planner? I need to have a funeral policy. Who is the person who I can call for this? Hi, I want to buy a car. Which car sale can I go to? Hi, I want a specific internet provider. With all these things I'm mentioning, I didn't mention names of people, but automatically there's something that's come up in your mind about a name of a specific product or service that has kept in somebody's mind. And those names that you have spoken of, I didn't mention any names, I just mentioned service providers. That's exactly what people should look to be, to being the solution to a problem. It shouldn't be just it's just for this season. Because people who do things just for a season, you don't last long.
True.
People want household names, people who have been experienced in that thing. And this is why those people are successful. I remember on a show some time back, we spoke of the word FOCUS, which abbreviated stands for follow one course until success. But many today, they are selling car parts. Tomorrow, they are selling laptops. Tomorrow, they are selling blankets. Tomorrow, there's no identity, or when you mention their name, that things come to mind. And one thing I can tell you, it's just like a seed when you plant it in the ground. It's not going to give you fruits today. It's probably going to take 2-3 years. But once it is start bringing fruits, I can tell you those fruits are multiple, and you'll get a good harvest. So we should look at business not as short-term solution, but we should be focused on that one thing that we want to be known for. And this is where people lose it. Saka Rongo, she's selling clothes, let me get in clothes. After 2 months of no sales, guess what? You're changing. But after the 3rd month, people now were getting familiar with your name. But when they look for you, you are no longer there. So that is what has killed so many drive-by-nights entrepreneurs. Because it's not their idea. They don't have a specific long-term vision of it. And this is where they've lost it. Because now, when the opportunity came, when somebody wanted them, and they're saying, where is that shop that Noma said she operates? They go there, it's not there, it's closed. And that's how we get lost in this journey called entrepreneurship. And I've said this many a times. Entrepreneurship is not overnight success. Those who are deemed, all those billboards, all those big companies you see, they've been there 10, 15, 20 years for them to be called households. Because remember, every entrepreneur began as a hustler, and then it grew to a small business called an SME, and then it grew, and ultimately it became a blue chip company. So the journey of starting, yes, it's key, but then most people, because of hardships, they throw in the towel, and then they think, let me do something else. But that's where a lot of people waste a lot of their time, and they go back to employment, which unfortunately will not be the best decision to make. Soldiering on was probably the best decision, and seeing what exactly you're doing wrong to further help you to grow as a business.
Is it possible that as an entrepreneur I can be delusional? As in, I want to start a business, right? Maybe I want to sell cars, right? But it does not make sense. At what point am I supposed to take advice from George Billionaire, who then says, yeah, I understand you want to start this business, but it's not a good one? Because there's that where we say, just focus on what you want to do, right? Be sure of what you want to do and go after that which you said you want to do. Then there's also the other side of things where even if I want to do this, it's not making sense. It will not work out. How do I know the difference? But no, I'm being delusional at this point.
I think the simplest way to see that your business is not functioning in the way it should is whether you're making a profit or not. And if you're not making a profit, it means there's some ingredient you are missing when you are trying to bake the cake, which is making it not come out the way it should. And for most people who are listening, they've never been entrepreneurs, which is why on this show we try and give as much nuggets as possible so that people can learn from others who've done it. Because the amazing thing about success is this: success leaves clues. Now I love the word of God in Matthew 7 verse 7. I call it the 7v7. I'm writing a book and it's going to be out in the next month or two. And this is one of the major principles that people should use in order for them to become successful. If you ask, you shall receive. If you seek, you shall find. And if you knock, certainly doors shall be opened unto you. So when you begin a business, ask he or she, maybe in similar industry or in business, Norma, how did you manage the first 3 years of business? Norma, is it advisable that I use this money as profit to spoil myself, or should I reinvest it into the business? Do you think I should do X, Y, Z? When you ask, there are people who have already made mistakes. that you do not want to duplicate those same mistakes, but you get those answers and responses by asking. It's a very simple thing. Unfortunately, our generation now thinks we know it all, and they don't have to ask those of the older generation, how should I do this? You've got a bright idea, but remember, there's no business under the sun that has never been tried before. Somebody has done it, succeeded in it, and failed in it. Go to the guy who has succeeded in it and ask. Remember, 7v7. If you ask, there's no way a student who goes and asks the teacher how to get this mathematical equation will get it wrong, because they are being told by the teacher who knows what they did to get the answer. To those who fail, sometimes you get delusional, like you're saying. You get a big head, you think, ndakavunza nditonga handisi kuziva zvandiri kuita. But every successful individual that I know in the world has had a mentor, has asked for advice, which has ultimately made that specific person a success.
Now, speaking of mentors, right? There's a possibility that I can come to George Billionaire and say, I want to start a air conditioning company, right? And in that time, probably George does not want competition, right? And maybe he says to me, no, that's not the way to go, right? My question is, what are the characteristics that I have to look for when I'm asking someone in the same business that I want to get into?
I would say this. I remember, big shout out to Mr. Fungai Nwale and Give More Kapesa. These are people who mentored me. They're into air conditioning, and they never held anything back, because each and all of us have our own spheres of influence, our niche. There's no business that if you supply the whole country, you'll be able to survive.
True.
If you supply a clothing shop, you can't supply the whole country. But I've seen this with successful people. They are actually wanting to empower others to become successful, because there's a certain grace, there's a certain clientele, there's a specific niche for each and every one of us. I cannot, as Pro Air, put air cons for the whole country. I can only do for a specific number of people, because I only have a certain number of employees. How many car sales are there? How many hospitals are there? How many food outlets are there? How many network companies are there? How many people who are barbers are there? There are many. So if you ask somebody, and most thing I've noticed, successful people have anime information. They are not, especially if you're serious and you persist. The only thing they dislike is people who come and ask for money or capital. No, if you have a great idea and you go to a successful individual and you ask them, sir, what do you think I should do to grow? They will gladly tell you, openly, for free even. So I think it's the character that you have, because there are so many people who have gone and started their own enterprises. And that's the thing with life. Remember, you cannot be a tiller of the land your whole life. All of us who are entrepreneurs, if you look at it, worked for other people before, until we saw, listen, I can actually do this, and then we began our own enterprises. Everybody. There's nobody who just woke up and was an entrepreneur. Somebody must have learned or worked for somebody else before. So I think it's the character that you have. It's the humility you have to actually say, you know what, I know you did this. And so many have come and asked me, and I give as much input as I can. But remember, people have their own strategy, network. Business is about relationships. It's not transactional. So it's also how then you do business, the backup service, the etiquette that you have. All of those things play a huge contributing factor in retaining and growing your business to being what it's supposed to be.
Okay. And for the general young person who probably lives in the other parts of the country, probably very much disadvantaged, George Billionaire is my inspiration. He's the successful person that I can speak to if I want to start my business, but it's not really accessible to me. For Norma, it's easier because maybe you've seen Norma here and there. So if she texts, it's easy to respond. But for a person, I see Torina, there's no trace of them any other way. How do I approach a person I look up to in business? How do I speak to them?
Growing up, Norma, I always used to look up to so many people. Some of them I only got to meet when I then became affluent and deemed successful by the community. But I watch, I listen, I learn, even from afar. Because the people who say, I want to meet George in person, and yet maybe they've never listened to radio, they've never gone on YouTube and checked out his videos, they've never followed him and read his success stories. There are many things written about people who you say, these are people I look up to. But I've done that specifically with so many people in the country. There's no person in the country who is successful who I've never personally taken out for lunch after I have personally done my research for many years. Until now that I'm able to, I go. But one thing about success is this. Others may want to meet me in person and have a conversation with me. But you find there's somebody who possibly has not even met me. And I think we've had some testaments here on the show. People who've started, they've never met me. But just by this show, their mindsets have been transformed. They got retrenched at work, they were listening to this show, and they acted. That's the challenge with people. It's not about you meeting a man of God, a successful person, in order for you to get the blessing or for you to start the business. There's no impartation of something. It's the faith you have by just listening to this show, by saying, you know what? He said the greatest secret to getting ahead is getting started. When they become successful, I remember meeting so many of my childhood role models saying, sir, I remember you started off selling chibage, and that inspired me, and I started selling freezers. Now I'm here. And they were like, wow, you know my story. Because I deliberately researched on those people, and I said, wait, this guy, he sold his house. This madam, she worked for there and she resigned, and now look where she is. So sometimes it's not about you meeting me. It's just about you listening and applying. Application of knowledge results to a transformed human being. But just wanting to meet me, I can tell you, there are many who've gotten pictures with celebrities, successful people. A picture will not make you successful.
It won't.
It won't. But application of what they tell you or what they did that made them successful will ultimately also make you become successful. You know, this weekend I was at a swimming gala, and my son Gabriel, you know, big shout out to Gabriel, he came on the show, he broke 4 school records. And others were saying, how does your son, I just want my son to hang around with your son. Hanging around with my son Gabriel will not make your son become successful. Gabriel has coaches. He goes to swim every single day of the week. He may get a day or so off, but it's that consistency, it's the hard work ethic. So it's not just about you associating with someone that makes you successful. It's about you now going into the water every day, seeing how hard it is, applying that which he does, which ultimately then will also make you become a success and a champion. So it's not just about meeting a successful person that will make you become successful. It's about applying what they tell you that made them become successful.
0719-100-404. If you have any questions, send them through on our WhatsApp number. And if you maybe want to call through, you can call on 0772-269-229. We're 6 minutes away from the news at 1 o'clock. There's a question. Right. Oh my goodness. What am I even doing in this life? I need advice for my 10-year-old now. Okay. No, this question is not. I think you texted on the wrong program, sir. It's for a child. She says, I feel tired. I feel like doing nothing different, but the fear in the kurira. So I don't know.
Yeah, you know, with fear, I think I've said this before. Fear is false evidence appearing real. And fear, everybody has fear. But one thing to conquer fear is to do the thing that you fear. Because we've said many times, behind the doors of your greatest fears lie your greatest treasures. And I remember many years ago, I used to also be like others who was full of fear, and I thought, you know what, entrepreneurship is for those type of people. But thank God to an amazing man of God, Pastor Victor Kambasha. He spoke into my life, told me, conquer your fears. And now look, I conquered my fears and I am where I am today. So life happens to people who conquer their fears.
Okay, so I think the question is
as long as you have fear instilled in you, you will never know what's behind that door. Can you only imagine if I had never started Pro Air with how many people we've serviced in the country of Zimbabwe? People would have never known of our product or service.
Okay.
But behind that door of fear, I conquered my fear, and now look, We've met the highest office in the land. We've done so many people's cars. We've done a lot. But all this is because I conquered a fear.
Okay.
So you must be able to conquer fear. Otherwise, you're going to go to the old people's home, dread your life, say, I wish I had started. But at that time, it will be too late because you will not have too much fuel in the tank to begin. You cannot be like the founder of KFC and begin at 65. That was then, not these times.
At this time, it won't work.
It might work. We're not trying to condone those
Or
who
it
are.
might work,
It
but
might, but then it's better to start earlier.
earlier.
And really grow something that lives long after you're gone.
Okay, so the person then corrected the question. She said, I've been a maid for 10 years now. Ndakunzwa kuti ndabowa ndichada, but kutanga something kunondiomera ndotya kuti kozvikaramba.
Yeah,
That
and
was the question.
this is it. With fear, I love the word of God so much. And according to your faith, it shall be done unto you. So if you begin with failure in your mind, I can guarantee you 1,000% failure is going to be the outcome. No doubt. Your faith is going to not move that mountain because already you say it cannot be moved. So you must have a mindset. And I tell people that if you have plan A and plan B, it's better you don't do anything because a double-minded man cannot please God. When you decide what to do, plan A must work because that's the only plan I have. But if you have a CV and you think I can always go back into employment if it fails, then just stay where you are because there's no point going half-hearted in something.
You've got to be
Because you're always going to say, but I knew it wasn't going to work. When you decide to do something, do it 1,000% confidence. Walk into that room super confident, sell your product or service, and know that it's just a matter of time. I may not have had to say 1 or 2 months, but it's coming. Something is coming my way, and I am going to be the top leading air conditioning company in the country. Speak that, and sooner than later. It took us 3 years when times were tough, and then we got awarded such, even though many had said, George, close ship, it's not working out. But I remained consistent. Remember, we spoke of focus. We remained consistent and we kept going, and look where we are today. That's because I didn't have a backup plan. I was not full of the fear from friends, family, so many people telling you to close ship. Doesn't matter whether you are a maid, a gardener, whoever you are, according to kutenda kwako, your faith, so shall it be unto you. And you know what God says, without faith it is impossible. So if you start something and you don't have faith, rather don't start at all because it's doomed. It's not going to succeed. But if you try and you do something, you'll be able to see the hand of God on top of your faith. And then sooner than later, you'll look back and say, wow, this is me now on radio presenting to people, but yet I could not have been here and I not have started.
All right. Thank you so much. I'm going to do this for probably the listeners who have tuned in for the first time. I know you have a lot of programs that help people that want to learn more about business. How do they get in touch with you?
Right, so I run an amazing program called GB Mentorship, and it's there on Instagram. I'm also available on all social media platforms, George Billionaire, and my number is 0712-840-840. I speak to a lot of churches, universities. I do one-on-one mentorship. There are masterclasses that I do. So if you want to be a part of that, join in, and I can tell you will be provoked, inspired, and equipped.